In a recent Q&A, someone asked me how I measure my shooting performance over time, and although I answer that in my Instagram stories, I think this topic deserves its own video on this channel. So how do we measure shooting skill over time? I think we can do this in all kinds of ways, measuring accuracy on its own, measuring accuracy under speed, measuring accuracy and speed under stress, and so on and so forth. That said, the way that we measure skills will likely change over time and may look slightly different depending on each person. So in this short video, I'm just going to explain how it is that I have been measuring my shooting skill for the last 5-ish years. When I first started shooting, measuring shooting skill simply looked like hitting what I was aiming at. It was as simple as that. Can I hit the thing that I'm aiming at, and how often am I doing that? And then once I started consistently hitting what I was aiming at, I was able to increase the challenge in front of me, either by increasing the distance or by pushing for a faster pace. It wasn't long after that in my shooting journey that I attended my first formal class and was introduced to using drills and tests to measure and assess my shooting skill. There is a distinction though between drills and tests. Drills are something we can use for the purposes of gaining skill. Tests serve as a way for us to assess where we are at every so often. So for example, for a while I really enjoyed doing bill drills and the 5x5 drill, and those served as a helpful tool for me to strive for accuracy at speed, but I would also reach for something like Riley Bowman's pistol IQ standards to assess where I was at across a wider range of skills. Drills can help you measure skill and increase skill over time, but tests exist solely as a test. If you use tests as a way to train, you'll ultimately get to a place where you've essentially gamed your test, and it's sort of like cheating. All of that said, I still very much use drills and tests to measure my shooting performance, but I also supplement that with how I score on USPSA stages and my overall USPSA classification. If you really want to learn exactly where you measure up in comparison to some of the best shooters in the world, shoot 6 USPSA matches or find yourself a match designed with classifier stages only and learn what your USPSA classification is. Last year, I found myself landing in the lower end of B class. USPSA stages are hit factor scoring, so the best score will be the fastest time with the best hits. The classes are D, C, B, A, Master, and Grandmaster. So based off of my classification, I know that I'm on the slightly lower end of middle of the road. And that's how I've measured my shooting skill over time. If you haven't started measuring your skill, I would strongly recommend that you start. If we aren't measuring our skill, then we're just arbitrarily guessing on our overall shooting skill. And as people that carry guns in public places, I actually think that it's extremely important to know exactly what kind of shots we're capable of taking responsibly and what we're not. I believe that measuring shooting skill has a direct correlation to how we might handle a shooting problem in the real world. And furthermore, if we aren't measuring our skill, then we aren't really identifying what areas we have to improve upon, and we don't really have anything we're striving for, which will likely cause us to lose interest and our skill will begin to degrade because shooting performance is a skill that is perishable. I'm interested. What do you do to measure shooting skill over time? And if you use any of the tools I mentioned in today's video, which ones do you use most often or find the most beneficial?